Good. How are you?
I see you're in a bar right now, or does your house just look like a bar because you're the bar guy?
This is my house, actually. This is my home bar.
Dang. I bet. By the way, we have John Taffer on from Bar Rescue. So many of our listeners love this show. And I bet, though, that you are expected to have the best bar at your house since you're the bar guy, right?
I am, and so I did. I mean, I got about 300 bottles behind me. Let me see if I can give you a little look.
Holy moly. Now, what are we talking here? How much money, just roundabout here, how much money you
Yeah.
think you've spent on alcohol in that bar right there in that house?
Truth?
Yeah.
Few $100s.
Oh, you got free alcohol. See, people
Yeah,
who don't.
a lot of this is given to me by friends.
Yeah,
but there's about maybe $22,000 worth of booze here. I would guess something like that.
Holy crap. Well, I'm super pumped to have you on for a lot of reasons. I do want to talk at first kind of about what's happening with Corona and bars, because I know Amy and I, my co-host and I were just talking about, capacities, and some bars are 25% or 50, or, what are you working with, and what are you encouraging these bar owners to do in a weird time like this?
Well, it's interesting. They've bunched bars and restaurants together. They're not separating them when they talk to us. But if you look at the regulations, you can open a restaurant, well, let's say 25% capacity or 50% capacity based upon the state you're in, but you're not allowed to have people sitting at the bar. You're not allowed to have people walk up to the bar. You're not allowed to have any standing room within the restaurant. So they've killed the bar within the restaurant. And we're not talking about that separation. There's a big difference between the way bars are being treated and the way restaurants are being treated.
Well, how would you advise they change?
Well, we have a serious issue here. I'm very respectful of the science. And here's what I think. I think a third of the population is going to come out pretty quickly. I think that they feel sort of infallible. They tend to be younger. I think the next third of the population is going to wait and see for a couple of weeks. Do we have any surges, any illness, or restaurants and bars doing it right, or people wearing masks, et cetera? And then I think there's the third group, which I call the certain group, Bobby. And that group's not going anywhere until there's a vaccine or something in place. So the way the first third behaves is going to determine whether the second third comes, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm worried. I'm worried, and I ask you this question, Bobby. If you were driving by a restaurant and there were a bunch of people standing in front that weren't wearing masks, would you go into that restaurant?
No, even if I was going to the restaurant and I get to the restaurant and there are a bunch of people that are just standing together, no, I would just be like, hey, this one's not for us right now.
So, and I would say the same thing. So my point is, think about this, Bobby. The restaurant could be doing everything right. They're sanitized. They're wearing masks. They did spacing. They're doing everything right. But the customers standing in front could ruin it for that restaurant. So I'm of the belief that we should wear masks. And if there isn't necessarily a medical protocol, and I think there is, that if I want to get Bobby in my restaurant, it's got to look safe. It's got to be transparently safe. And customers and groups not wearing masks sends the wrong signal.
How do you feel that a lot of these bars are going to come out of this? Are you seeing a significant 50, 60% of bars that had started up that will not actually get back on their feet?
Well, in the past 3 or 4 days, I've gotten 8 or 10 phone calls from friends who are not reopening.
Wow.
And I'm concerned that maybe, we were talking about losing 40% of them. Take a look at New York. New York is still months away from opening. We're probably going to lose 60, 70% of them there.
Well, let me ask you this, and we'll move off of this, but what do you say to people who may be hesitant about heading out to a bar, or, and they're different, a bar or a restaurant?
They should have confidence. So let me tell you why, Bobby. We've been fighting bacteria since our inception. So in the restaurant industry, we're professionals at this. We know how to wipe surfaces. We know what chemicals to use. We know how to wash our hands. We know how to separate raw product from cooked product and all the sanitizing solutions and everything that we do. So I would suggest to those people that a restaurant is far better at this than a retailer, a car dealer, or any other kind of retail or consumer store. You should trust the restaurant. Now we have to trust the behavior of the customers.
That's interesting. John Taffer is on from Bar Rescue, also has the John Taffer podcast. Well, here's a question that's not Corona-related. I just turned 40 years old. I've never had a drink of alcohol in my life. And I'm wondering, if I were to have my first drink, what would you recommend for a guy that's never had a drink before? Because, I don't want to get super wasted real quick, but I want it to taste pretty good.
So, I would probably take you sort of in a sweet direction for the first one, Bob. I certainly wouldn't slam you with straight booze like a martini or an old-fashioned. That probably would be your first and your last. But, there are fun drinks. Like, I bet you like a pina colada.
I love a pina colada.
Pineapple coconut?
I love a virgin pina colada like crazy. I just haven't had the alcohol in it yet.
So take a teaspoon of alcohol. Put 1 teaspoon in. Try it. If you like it, put another teaspoon in. Take it a step at a time. See if you like it. I think you'll find that the right amount of rum adds a really nice flavor profile to it. And you're not going to get drunk or sick on a couple of teaspoons, buddy. So I say put your toes in the water, then jump in.
What about these alcohols that, I see like Mad Men and, they got is it bourbon or what about these real like Bernie alcohols? What's the hardest alcohol? Again, you're talking to a rookie here that it just takes a long time to develop a taste for it.
Well, vodka tends to be the most approachable spirit. It's a clear one. It's neutral. You can put it with anything. It's very, very mixable. So vodka tends to be the kind of drink that many people start with. Rum, on the other hand, is also a white alcohol. So it goes in things like pina colada. It tends to be pretty mellow. The darker whiskeys and the darker alcohols, the brown ones, are the ones that people typically evolve into. And those would be the whiskeys, the bourbons, and darker products, Canadian whiskey, things like that.
What's the worst tasting alcohol to you?
Oh, you put me in real trouble. I'm not a 101 guy. I'm not a 100 proof plus kind of a guy. So I tend to like 80 proof products. But you can't corner me into a brand, buddy. I can't go there.
So these bars on this show, this bar rescue, sometimes I'm like, how in the world did they get into this bar? How do you pick bars that you're going to go into?
Well, I don't pick them. I have a casting company that picks them because I don't want to know anything about them, Bobby. I think the success of the show, and we're entering our 10th year, and we're about to cross 200 episodes, which is a heck of an accomplishment in reality TV. I believe it's because it's authentic. So I have a casting company that finds the bars. I've created the criteria. There needs to be a kitchen, a certain amount of employees. They need to be in debt. They need to this. So I create that criteria, and then they go find the bars. So when I show up on set, I get about a 60-second briefing. That's it, Bobby. That's it. And then after that 60-second briefing, I go in. So I think the show's successful because I see it when you see it. I'm not ahead of you.
Let me ask you this, because this is often what I want to know. Like months later, after you finish an episode, do you feel like these places still listen to what you did and still abide by, or do you think they kind of just go back to their old ways with just some new stuff?
About 67% succeed, meaning they stay open. Call it 30% don't. It's funny. I can build people to Taj Mahal, Bob, but in some cases, anybody would destroy it. So it's not about a bar. It's much more about the people. Bars to me are logistics. It's wallpaper, finishing, lighting, sound, technology. I can build bars all day long. The question is, can I find people to run them all day long? So it isn't fixing the bar in most cases. It's fixing them.
At John Taffer on Instagram. He's got the John Taffer podcast. Obviously, Bar Rescue, Sundays at 10, 9 Central on Paramount. And let me mention this because, we're all over the place. Our show's on in Atlanta, too. Taffer's Tavern, the restaurant franchise launched its first one just outside of Atlanta. I got to wonder, do you ever just pop in there and just hang out at your own place?
Of course. Of course, I want to experience it. I want to look in the faces of people. I want to talk to them. You bet I do.
Do you ever do
post-pandemic is a little different, but sure.
Like undercover boss style, where you go in and don't tell them it's you. You got a hat on. You're just trying to live the life and see what's up.
I've tried that before. It doesn't work. They bust me every time, Bob, but I've tried.
Well, hey, John, it's been really great talking to you. Thanks for talking about, Corona, and I feel like I got a lesson from like a master class on what alcohol to try when I finally do decide to take that first step in. And then it's great to hear how the show works, too. So thank you for your time, and stay safe, my friend.
My pleasure, buddy. Be well.
All right, see you, John.
It's a Bobby Bones Show.